Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And the good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys from Canada. We know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. We love them down south, Big C. There's nobody we love more than you good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful June 13th, 2018, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Charlton is hot. I feel like a stick of butter on a sidewalk on a sunny day. I've been melting. I've been dripping. So all I need is a piece of toast right now and some jelly, and I'll be doing all right.
Yeah, I understand toast and jelly. Hey, there's a lot of good happening in the sports universe. Really appreciate seeing the Golden State Warriors celebrate another championship, third one in 4 seasons in Oakland. What a beautiful thing it is. Also, them good old boys in Washington, D.C., they also celebrated their championship. A lot of things going on. United States, Canada, and Mexico, they all follow Big C Sports, and they'll be dealing with being rewarded with the World Cup by FIFA. A lot of good things, people not going into camp. But I want to follow up with something you talked about yesterday. Did Justify, the woo-woo-woo horse, did Justify get any hits on his Justified date site, Big C? Your thoughts?
Charlton, he's booked solid for the next 10 years. He might get a day off in between.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to go to work 3 times a day.
That's funny. Imagine people wonder, where does livestock come from? Like, where does food come from? Where does anything come from? When I've seen the horses, they just sit out there in the horse stable. They're boxed in, they're caged in, and they don't get to go out and drive. They don't get to roam. I remember I was a young boy watching Big Valley. I think that was filmed in the Lake Tahoe, California region. And they all rode around on horses, but not one of those horses had date sites. And I wonder, is their main purpose just to give people rides, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, he's going to get a whole lot of rides, Charlton. He's had 3 great rides to get to this point in his life. Now he's going to have a whole lot of rides in months and weeks and years to come.
Yeah.
But, when you think about the dynamics of horse racing, Charlton, we celebrate the winners.
Yeah.
You look at that across the board. But what happens to those who don't ever finish, Charlton?
Yeah.
The horse industry is a cruel industry, just like the dog racing industry down here in the South.
Yeah.
It's like, everybody's looking for a winner. You invest all this money in a horse that doesn't win.
Yeah.
How can you even sell out the stud fees for that horse, though? Especially if they never place. So, it's a hit and miss cat game, Charlton.
Yeah.
When you're dealing in that horse industry. We're one of the few industries, Charlton, that don't market horse meat on the market as far as food on the table.
Yeah.
In Europe, it's very big. In Mexico, it's very big, Charlton. And it's even coming back in Canada because it is a very nutritious meat.
Yeah.
But we think of horses as pets here in the U.S. And, they do all that they can to make sure that their lives are comfortable and stuff and not put too much burden on them, Charlton. But, in the end, it's what it is. It's livestock.
Yeah.
And livestock is what you put the value on as an individual.
Yeah.
Is what you value it at. It's just like even in the cattle industry, Charlton, they have stud bulls that they put a lot of money on.
Yeah.
We've all witnessed the rodeo circuit, Charlton, where they have the broncs. The bull riding out there, and those bulls go around the country, Charlton.
Yeah.
A little nasty also. They got attitude. And they don't take kindly to being ridden at all.
That's funny, Big C. I love learning about livestock on the Big C Sports Show. I want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. We had that bet about Alabama playing USC in football just a couple of years ago, and they went down to the AT&T Stadium in Texas, and I think Alabama won like 52-3 or 52-6, something like that.
Who's counting, Charlton? After you had a couple touchdowns on the board, and the other team has the inability to score.
Yeah.
You know, the final score sometimes is insignificant. You know you got to win.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, when you look at sports,
Yeah.
there's always dog games all over the place where, you know, you know that this team doesn't stand a chance.
Yes.
And USC was happy to come down to Texas because things are done bigger in Texas.
Yeah, I can tell.
And you know, the horses are bigger, the stakes are bigger. And I think they got a smaller horse now because I don't know if that one they brought it back.
That's the funny thing. You were asking, or I guess I was asking, what happens to the horses that lose? You know, when people lose, they just say, hey, good fight, man, good effort, blah, 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 we'll see you next time, and good luck, etc. But when the animals lose, we don't know what happens to them. But I think that USC horse, what an indoctrination for Lynn Swann to become the athletic director at USC. In their first game, he said, who in the world scheduled Alabama? Down in Texas, of all places. And so, but Lynn Swann, they made a comeback. They got the chance to get back on top of the Pac-12 conference. But for all the people that love livestock, we have the equestrian races out here in California, and people really put a lot of money and time into the horses. And every mascot, when you think about it, down there in your neck of the woods, they have an elephant. Why won't Alabama put an elephant on the sideline? That's their mascot, Big C. That make any sense?
Well, Charlton, we don't want to get him too excited during the game. You know, he might want to go in there and run the ball.
Yeah.
And, you know, when they're talking about roll tide, that's a solid 6. He's not going to be stopped.
Yeah, that's funny. But I think back to all the jockeys that put a lot of time into it, and they really give those horses, you think about this, in this country, and I'm not being flippant about it, horses tend to get more love than a lot of inner city kids. Horses get fed every day. Would you believe that there are a lot of people, not just inner city, but a lot of kids don't eat but maybe one meal a day, if that, and they go under the radar. So when Trump's talking about there's only 3% unemployment, maybe among his friends, but I still know a lot of people who are trying to make sure the services are available. But if you don't get to the services, sometimes people don't eat. And I just want to know, why did we put so much of an emphasis on animals in this animal cruelty behavior, but we have kids that go homeless and starving, and people tend to say, well, that's their own fault. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, not just the children of America, but we have adults that sleep under bridges, that stand on roadsides and beg every day in this great country. And you know, when you talk about Trump and he's saying that there's only 3% unemployment in this country, I guess he's looking at his daughter and son-in-law, who made $84 million last year, okay, working as consultants in the White House.
$84
million?
million?
Advisors in the White House. $84 million they made. Now, you think about that. That's the most that anybody's ever made working in a presidential cabinet in 1 year. That's that thing they call enrichment.
Yeah.
And the monument clause that they've been talking about.
Yeah.
The White House is a stepping stone to riches and enrichment for his family and himself.
Yeah.
And so when they can make that type of money, and he's talking about cutting programs for kids, food programs. That's one of the programs they're talking about taking out of the system, Charlton.
Yeah.
They talked about taking away the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
That these people don't need insurance, as he's saying. You know, there's so many things that's wrong with this country and this administration. But when we have our veterans from wars of the past, and even present wars, you know, the Middle Eastern wars, Charlton, Vietnam, even World War II, Charlton, we have Korean War veterans that are homeless, that are destitute, that have no place to stay, Charlton, no job.
Yeah.
They you know, they live from moment to moment, not day to day, from moment to moment. And when we have an administration that don't care about them, and as you spoke about, animal rights activists care more about animals, our four-legged friends and pets, than they do our two-legged neighbors, Charlton.
Yep.
That's what America has come to. If you have an animal, and I'm not speaking flippantly on this, that gets hit on the street, we'll have a dozen cars stopped to bring aid to this animal.
Yep.
When there's an accident on the freeway, Charlton, you get a bunch of rubberneckers in our society.
Yeah.
People looking, is anybody dead over there? But if it's an animal, Charlton, they're trying to keep the animal alive. If it's a human being, As a culture, we don't care.
Yeah.
We drive past as Americans. We don't stop to get out to administer aid. But if it was an animal that was hit, they would, even if it was a wild deer or something, Charlton,
yeah,
they would get out and try to administer aid to this animal.
Yeah.
That's how flippant our country is, Charlton, as far as caring about those who are left out. And I'm not talking about those that don't have. I'm just talking about those that are left out, Charlton.
Yeah.
And there's so much of this in this great country. When they say that there's 3% unemployment in this country, I mean, even the news stations who state that know that they're lying, just like the president lies.
Yeah.
When you go around and you look at the number of homeless people in America, people sleeping under bridges, sleeping in their cars, sleeping in parks, we have more than 3% of our population, Charlton, in America that is destitute. So that means they're unemployed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when they say that the unemployment rate, these people, Charlton, don't have mailboxes.
No.
They don't have P.O. boxes. They don't have an address. So I wish that our media would not lie on our society saying that it's doing so great. There's not a person that listens to our show in this great nation of the United States that if they drive a car does not see someone that's homeless and begging every day.
You know what's funny? When you think about it, I know that the president has all the static he's creating with Canada, and whether it's dairy or steel or whatever that they're trying to do, and people wonder, what are they doing over there with Korea? And whether it's North Korea, South Korea, they're trying to make peace with foreign countries, and now he's having these meetings, and now he flew back.
Well, Charlton, you have to understand the reason for the
business.
The trip to
it's
North
for
Korea.
Business.
Understand this. And everybody who listens to our program and anybody who listens to any news outlet needs to understand why Trump is so prescient about cutting a deal with North Korea.
Cheap labor.
No, look at the neighboring countries, Charlton.
Yeah.
There are two countries that border North Korea. One is called China.
Yep.
One is called Russia.
Yep.
Okay? Trump has a vested interest in both of those countries.
How come people don't know that?
Well, Charlton, our news outlets really don't tell the story all the time. When we look at those two countries and look at the financial vested interest that both of those countries have with Trump and vice versa, then you understand why. You know, there's a war games that goes on every year with South Korea and the United States.
Yeah.
Been going on for 70 years, Charlton. Trump ended that abruptly without consulting the military leaders.
Sure did.
Reason why? Russia has been opposed to that every year, Charlton.
Yeah.
Even China's been opposed to that. But even more so, Russia's military leader made it known the last exercise to the United States that he did not appreciate that. And all of a sudden, Trump calls an abrupt end to something that's been part of the American support system and military background for decades.
Yep.
He said it was because cost. Okay, look at the money that he's wasting frivolously in this country, Charlton.
Yep.
But he's saying our military support, he said he's going to make our military the biggest and strongest in the world, the greatest in the world. And now you're cutting it back, Charlton. You're going against what you said as a campaign promise.
Yeah.
You're making our ally vulnerable.
Yep.
South Korea now will be vulnerable, Charlton, because it's pulling out the military out of South Korea.
Yeah, it makes Putin happy, though. It's like also land and labor's cheaper. You think about it. When you're a corporation or even a president that operates many businesses outside of the intercontinental United States of America, and he says unemployment's less than 3%, maybe for his companies, for people that have work outside of the country, he says, well, people are bringing their jobs back. Well, people will understand he's a businessman and he's doing it on American dollar. Air Force One, it flies over on taxpayer dollar. That's not his own. He's not using his American Express black card to get over there and strike land and real estate deals that people will hear about once the dust settles. There was never really a nuclear threat from them, Big C. And if you're going to bring in Russia I think Russia, last I Googled, I think Putin kills his own citizens. I don't think Canada does that to their own citizens. Unless my Google's slow.
We've seen that, Charlton, when we see North Korea and we see Russia.
Yep.
We've even seen China, where they imprison their own citizens, even more so than what the United States does. They put them in slave labor camps.
Yeah.
They also assassinate them. Putin has assassinated every opponent and opposition he's had in the last decade.
You can Google that.
You know, you look at Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Look, he's killed family members. Matter of fact, he killed his stepbrother last year.
Yep.
You know, had him assassinated.
Yeah.
He's killed his uncle. So when I heard the president say, he's a great guy, he loves his people.
Yep.
When he has them in these torture camps, you
on their hands and knees, like Giuliani said. Yeah.
You think about this, Charlton. There's one overweight person in North Korea. That's Kim Jong-un. Everybody else is razor thin. You look at his military fighting force.
Yeah.
You look at all his officers, Charlton. Everybody is sleek and thin.
Yeah.
They live on ration meals. He's the only fat person in North Korea.
Yep. And I think something too, because I watch all the news programs as much as I can, or Google when I can. I love Don Lemon, and there's another guy, that Cuomo, and I can't remember his first name, but Mario, that guy's brilliant. I love he and Don Lemon and Van Jones could have their own show, and everybody else could take a break because they ask real questions, and they also put the opposition on there to stand up for themselves. But they were saying how Hannity and Limbaugh, they were making so much. They had so much enmity for President Obama, saying that, oh, I can't believe he'll talk to his enemies. He'll talk to dictators. I would never do that. Isn't that what Trump's doing? Now they're loving him.
Charlton, you know, I look at this Iranian deal when they gave back the money that they had taken from the Ayatollah.
Yeah.
Years ago, Charlton, the other presidential regimes, not under Obama. It was their money.
Yeah.
He didn't give them money.
Nope.
But, you know, I've heard Hannity say, well, they gave cargo planes loads of money back to the Iranians. Well, I wonder how much are they giving to the Russians and the Chinese, Charlton?
Yeah.
Well, when you think about it, when you're stopping all military exercises in the demilitarized zone in South Korea, and you're telling Russia, who took over Crimea just a few years ago, they invaded the country and slaughtered people there, Charlton.
You can Google it.
We've seen the atrocities that have gone on in China, you know, against the oppression of their own people, as well as in North Korea.
Yes.
And Trump is saying these are all good people.
Yep.
You know, but here it is in America. So what does that make us and our allies? You know, when one of his cabinet members says there's a special place in hell for Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada.
Yeah.
Because he wants to counter the tariffs that the U.S. are putting on Canada. Our most staunch ally forever, Charlton.
Yeah.
They're like the little cousin next door that you always can depend on. They've always been there.
Yeah.
And here it is. We have cabinet members saying there's a special place in hell for their prime minister. He's blasted Angela Merkel from Germany.
Yep.
He's blasted the British prime minister, Charlton. The people who have had the U.S. back, he is, you know, putting tariffs and anger in their leadership.
Yeah.
But he's saying that Russia's a great country and North Korea's a great country and their leaders are great people because they kill their own people and starve them.
And for people that think, oh, what's sports and politics got to do? Here's the same president that slandered President Obama, saying he was un-American. We saw what he's done to Mexican Americans and how he wants to, you know, deport people out of the country. But here's a guy that slandered President Obama and got a lot of the Republicans cheering him. But these same people, he goes and says that Putin needs to be invited into the G7. And he murders his own people. But these Republicans, and you can Google who they are because everybody's going to vote. It's about the humanity of people. He applauds a man who murders his own people, especially media people. That's why I'm surprised that our media is so quiet about what's really going on in Korea. Had nothing to do with nuclear weapons. But to slam Obama and Trudeau and Merkel, but he's hugging hands with Putin and the Republicans and even Mitt Romney. And I thought Mitt Romney I know he has that 47% thing going on, But even Mitt Romney thinks that Trump is a good president for the Republicans. And I just wonder what happened to Mitt Romney's spine, because he used to be like a paragon of hope for a lot of people, even though he has some racist tendencies with that 47% don't want to help themselves. But what happened to him? And even when we think about it, how come they don't have any strong Republican leadership anymore that will at least stand for what's right? I thought that Paul Ryan would be that guy, but he's quiet as a mouse also. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, those that are taking flight right now understand what's happening with this administration from a financial perspective. And they're not seeking re-election because they know that a lot of people are going to go to prison in a few years. It's going to happen eventually. It may not happen this week, next week, but it's eventually going to happen. And, you know, when I heard the president say one of the reasons why he was stopping the war exercises in South Korea,
yeah,
he was talking about the price of flying the B-1 bomber from Guam to South Korea, you know, for these games. And they fly about 10 or 12 of them over there, Charlie. He said, do you ever realize the cost of that? I would love for our American citizens, Charlton, to Google. What is the price of Air Force One and its support crew every time the president flies?
Millions.
It's about $250,000 each flight of Air Force One. So he's taking round trips. So it's $500,000 every time the president takes a trip here within the U.S. And this trip he just took overseas, that was about a $5 million ticket on the U.S. dime.
Yeah.
Just for him to go spend a day in Singapore.
Yeah.
And now you think the numbers are flipping. Look, Google it. See what the cost of operating Air Force One is. Not only Air Force One, we're talking about the one plane. There's a C-17 that carries the Beast. That's the military transport plane.
Yeah.
Also, the second Air Force One flies also. They carry both of them when they're on these trips, just in case of emergency. When you leave the country,
yes,
you take both Air Force Ones. When he's flying back and forth to Florida, it's $500,000 every time he goes down to Florida to play golf or anywhere in the country.
Yep.
So when you say that this president is concerned about the war games and the cost over in South Korea, ask him what's the price of golf. I know a lot of our listeners have played golf. I don't know if you've ever shelled out $500,000 to play golf for a day.
No.
That's what it costs the president when he wants to fly down to Mar-a-Lago. That's $500,000 round trip.
On taxpayer dollars.
You got to think about the security that's involved. All of those people, they shut down cities. Nobody can make money. Where Air Force One parks in Mar-a-Lago, it kills all the tourist business. Everyone who has a helicopter down there is no longer allowed to fly their helicopter service. And a lot of that is tourists and sightseeing.
Yes.
Those helicopters are grounded the whole time that Air Force One is down there on the ground. So when he spends 2 or 3 days in Mar-a-Lago, the economy suffers in that area, Charlton, because these people who work for a living cannot work because he wants to go play golf and have dinner at his place.
That's so important. So I hope that people realize that it's all important. And when you look at, I think the World Cup starting over in Russia, coming up soon this summer. And
on Friday.
On Friday, starts on Friday. There's a lot of people flying over there to compete for soccer. We met a lady named Emily just last month. She's out of Australia. In fact, I met a second gentleman from Australia here in Northern California in the Bay Area who's also flying to Russia. Some people have a lot of money. They can jump on airplanes and do that. Doesn't really affect them. They work in an industry that lets them do it. But I wanna bring up something that you talked about. I think it was just earlier this week we talked about it, about not waving time. And I mistakenly said wave time, but it's not wave time. Imagine what you do to your neighbor when he runs over your front lawn. You don't wave at him. So imagine when that DA says, hey, boy, we got something on you. In fact, you're looking at 10 years in the penitentiary. Now, you're young, scared, don't have a lawyer. And so they send you this prosecutor, and the prosecutor says, look, we got you, it's going to do 10 years. But if you plead guilty, then maybe we get you down to 3 years. Out on good behavior, you'll be 1.5 years in the penitentiary. And the boy doesn't know what to do, so he says, well, I want a public defender. Well, that public defender, you got to understand, they get paid about $1,500 whether they win your case or not. So oftentimes, as you mentioned, they have over 700 cases usually. Their interest is not in you. Their interest is getting the court system to open up more time. They want to get you through the system like an assembly line. So oftentimes, please listen to this, people, especially men of color. Even your public defense lawyer will acquiesce to you pleading guilty. Think about that. They're not on your side. You want to waive time. You want to expedite.
No, you don't want to waive time.
I'm sorry, you don't want to waive time.
You don't want to waive
time.
Remember, the criticalness is how you say that.
Yes.
What they're going to do, Charlton, is they're going to say they have several counts on you. This is what they're going to do.
Yes.
And, we need time to build up a strategy. So what I want you to do is waive time. This is what your public defender is going to say. I want you to waive time to give us time to examine your case and go over the evidence that they have. They haven't given us anything yet, but it will give us the time to examine your case. You say, no, I wish not to waive time.
Yep.
I do not waive my day in court. I have the right to be in court within 30 days facing the charges that you have on me. Understand this, people. Do not waive time. Say, I would like a speedy trial. I would like for my trial to begin in 30 days.
Yeah.
That is your right as an American citizen. That is a constitutional right. You have to understand the backlog in the judicial system in America. This is the reason why jails are full to the hilt, overflowing, Charlton.
Yep.
This is the reason why prisons are full and overflowing. Because people have waived time. They have sit in jails for days, weeks, months, and years, waiting on a trial because they have waived time. So there's no expedition from the prosecutor to get you in the court.
Yep.
You have to understand, the counties make money wherever you're incarcerated. So don't sit in there and be a free meal for them. Say, no, I choose not to waive time. I have a judiciary right to be in court within 30 days.
Yep.
And that's what you want. You want your trial to start within 30 days. That 30 days start ticking from the day that you were arrested.
Yes, it does.
This is what you have to understand. Not the day that you go in for your preliminary. The day that you were arrested, that's when the 30 days start, because you're going to see a judge. The judge is going to read you your charges, whether it's in face or over video. But what you tell that judge, I choose not to waive time.
I want a speedy trial.
I want to go to court. I want a speedy trial. That's 30 days. The prosecutor will object and tell the judge, we're not ready for trial. It's not up to the prosecutor. It's up to you whether you want to sit in jail or not.
Now,
you're telling the prosecutor you do not want to sit in jail. You choose not to waive time because you have the rights as an American citizen to see the evidence within 30 days that they have on you.
Yep.
I guarantee you, if you go to court, in 30 days, they won't have any evidence on you.
No,
they can't try you in 30 days.
Yeah.
Let me give you a perfect example, Charlton. As the crime, the trial that everybody in America hates, the O.J. Simpson trial. O.J. Simpson sat in jail for 1.5 years because he waived time. He ended up being exonerated in the end, but he waived time. Okay? Gave the prosecutor all the time in the world to try to put things together, gave his defense team all the time in the world to fight it. But think about it. That trial lasted 3 months. Okay? 3 months on television. It gripped America. If time had been waived, that would have been a 3-day trial maximum, Charlton. 3 days maximum. And so you think about somebody who was not put in that position that he was put in on something that's less. A simple drug charge, DUI, whatever it is, Charlton. I'm not saying that anybody should commit a crime in America.
No.
But don't waive time if they put you in front of a judge. Say, I'd like a speedy trial in 30 days.
And if you're confused on that, like I've mixed the words on it too, you want a speedy trial, okay? I got to bring that up because a lot of African Americans, I meet people all the time from the Bay Area that follow Big C Sports. Even a lady from Australia. I've never been to Australia. I know you have, Big C. They've been missing some kangaroos. They got some kangaroos.
Wine country down there.
Wine country.
Take a little burgundy down there and play some kangaroos. You're in heaven. Down under.
Down under. So, but I want especially African American boys because you're the number one target. Just like you're recruited for sports, the criminal justice complex, it recruits us too. And you know it's true. Going way back to the Emancipation Proclamation, Jim Crow laws, they've been recruiting and lynching black people for a long time. When lynching was made illegal, they started massively incarcerating people. And if you just understand this, even mainstream knows this. Most kids that don't have a lawyer, you're going to end up with that public defender. And they're not on your side. They get paid by the same people that pay the prosecutor. And they have an interest in keeping their jobs. They don't get paid on everybody when they're not in jail. They get paid on their workload. And they get a set fee. But if you're a black person right now, I want you to ask this question. Have you ever known anyone in your family or your cousins or friends or your neighbor's friends or somebody's friends that's been brought up on some type of drug charges? Mostly marijuana or whatever it is. I want you to ask yourself the next question. Do you know any Caucasians ever in your life that's ever done drugs? Those two questions. The third question, how many white Americans have you seen go to prison compared to black Americans that have gone to prison? That's why you got to understand, 7 out of 10 times, if you're black, you're 7 times more likely to be falsely accused by criminal justice, because they got to fill up jails. They make money off of black kids. Big C, that's so powerful that you did that thing on Do Not Waive Time. Ask for a speedy trial. I want you to cover it one more time as to mainstream why they don't cover this in the news. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, everyone benefits, communities benefits from incarceration. Whether it's a jail system, whether it's a prison system, it's tax-based. It's about earning income off of bodies in America. That's what it's all about. It's not about justice, Charlton. It's about earning income off of bodies. Every day that you sit in a jail cell waiting on a trial, that county earns money off of you.
You sure do.
And they don't benefit you in any kind of way. They keep you locked up like an animal. We talked about how Americans care more for animals than they do human beings.
Yeah.
If you see some animal locked up, barely fed, doesn't get out for exercise, I mean, people will call law enforcement. They will call animal rights, animal control. These animals are being mistreated. They're being malnourished. I wonder if they ever check the nutrition system in these incarceration places, Charlton, as far as what they feed these inmates. Minimal nutrition, Charlton, daily. Minimal nutrition. You can't get out and go to a convenience store and get what you want.
Nope.
But don't waive time if you're ever arrested. If you're confused about the words, say, I'd like a speedy trial in 30 days.
In 30 days.
It's the same thing.
Same thing.
I'd like a speedy trial in 30 days. It's the same as don't waive time.
And now,
because that's the first thing they're going to ask you.
Yeah.
Would you like to waive time? No. Would you like to waive time? No. I want a speedy trial.
A speedy trial. And now I want to ask you this question, Big C, and anyone listening all over the universe. When you hear about mainstream mothership reporting on sports, and they even get the black men that are so dumb or ignorant or whatever it is, they know that what we just talked about is more of a prescient issue in their lives and those that they love, oftentimes their own children. But them good old boys are trained. Like, what you guys do to those rabbits down? You guys get those rabbits to jump in the skillet. How do you get the rabbit to jump in the skillet, Big? So you put carrots on the string.
Warm, comfortable place, we bait them with the flour.
Okay, you bait them with the flour and the carrots. And this is for even mainstream, because we'll send your kids to Big C Sports when you want to keep them safe, because you want to talk about it. If they were to take some of their programming and quit saying, oh man, hey, Big C, do you think LeBron's going to sign with the Lakers? Do you think Chris Paul's going to go to LA? What about Paul George? You think he's going to join King James? I hear Kyrie might be getting back together with LeBron. What do you think, Big C? And then they got guys go, hey, let me tell you what's going to happen. I know everything. I know everybody. All that garbage. They don't say anything that makes your kids safe like Big C Sports just talked about. I know you want to watch the score. I know you want to know who won the game. But the game is called the criminal justice system. We're being preyed on and hunted, and you got to clear the fog. And I'd be a sycophant too if I knew about this and said nothing about it. So I'm telling you, young black athletes, that you're going to watch a program, Sports Center or whatever you're watching, and the knowledge they feed you is like prison food. Just enough to keep you from starving, but not enough nutrients to keep you healthy. You got to tell your friends and your parents. You want a speedy trial when you get picked up. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But if you study the Kerner Commission, it's just a matter of time before you get approached. And already, since summer started and school's been out, just driving around, I want to ask mainstream and black Americans, when you see people pulled over, usually teenagers, 8 out of 10 times, they're black boys. More than one in a car, and that's a code word for Giuliani and Trump, that stop and frisk mentality, to pull them over and see if they've done something wrong. They don't do that to white kids. Ask your white friends how many times they get pulled over driving to the mall. They don't. I know it. I've been with them many times. Never got pulled over. Except for one time, actually twice. They had drugs on them. I didn't. I was driving them home from a party. And that's the only reason I didn't get arrested, because there were 3 Caucasians in the car with me. Now, if I know that happened, why would I get on Big C Sports and say, hey, Big C, what do you think of the Lakers? You think they're going to go after King James? You think they're going to get Chris Paul? How about, you think they might even act Carmelo Anthony? What do you think? I mean, that could give them a formidable opponent to Golden State. What do you think, Big C? Why don't they even say that? Because we're already seeing it, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's there. And it's not just for minorities. It's for all people, Charlton. You know, that they need to understand their rights when they're put in these heinous situations, Charlton, where their lives and their livelihood is put on hold. Is that don't let someone take advantage of you. You know, and I want to parallel that, Charlton, with something that sports does.
Yes.
You know, we look at this country. We just had 3 championships this past weekend, okay?
Yeah.
We had your friend Justify. He's going to be partying the rest of his life, okay?
Yep.
We had the Washington Capitals. First championship in franchise history, Charlton.
Yeah.
We had the Golden State Warriors back-to-back with their 4th championship in franchise history.
Yes.
I want to understand why America and the leagues, okay, these professional leagues, celebrate athletes getting drunk on television.
Wow.
I mean, I've been a part of that.
Wow.
And I'm trying to understand that. When we talk about being an influence to the youth of America, we have athletes becoming totally drunk and belligerent on television. We've seen that. Ovechkin, you know, the Washington Capitals went over the top with the things that they did. But we see this, and it's celebrated. You know, it's on television. You know, you think about television, Charlton. There's no drinking commercials on television. You don't see anyone drinking alcohol. They will tip a glass up. They will show it. They don't even drink a beer, Charlton, on television. There's not. The FCC forbids that.
Yep.
Forbids drinking on television. But at these sporting events, and we hear all these commercials, drive safely, drink responsibly.
Yes.
So when you got 200 cases of champagne and you got 30 guys, who's drinking responsibly? You got, you know, a dozen bottles of champagne each to drink.
Yeah.
Now, you think about this. The professional leagues of America celebrate athletes getting drunk on television and off television. But if that athlete gets high with marijuana, then they suspend him.
Wow.
They allow you to drink on television, where everyone is advertised against it. The FCC forbids drinking on television. But our national sports in America, all the championships, football, basketball, baseball, soccer, hockey, they celebrate drinking on television. So what is that telling the youth of America? After a great victory, go out and get drunk. It's okay. You say you aspire to be a professional athlete. So this is the image that they see if they win a championship.
Wow.
And Google this, America. Look how many young athletes have been injured in drunk driving incidents after winning championships across this country. You can Google that. That statistic exists. Because they have gone out. They have drank the beer. They have drank the champagne and other alcoholic beverages because they've celebrated like the professionals showed them how to celebrate. But this is a national epidemic, Charlton.
Yeah.
Drinking after sporting events. It trickled down to the youth. They will have someone stand outside a liquor store and have someone go in and buy it for them, Charlton.
Yeah.
There's accessibility to alcohol in America, but the youth are learning it from the professionals. It's a learned behavior. Just like you see a guy at a football game wearing gloves, got a towel hanging off his waist, got 9 wristbands on his arm. You know, a basketball player with a headband on.
Yeah.
A baseball player with the eye black on his eyes. The youth learn from the professionals. And so when the professionals are allowed to get drunk on television and it's celebrated, what are you telling the youth of America? These are your iconic images that you hold on to, just like hosting that championship trophy in the air.
Yes.
You're hosting that bottle in the air in your mouth. We celebrate that, but we punish athletes for using marijuana.
That's a good point. I remember in many stadiums they sell alcohol all over the place, but I've never. You're right. That's a good thing. That's a very good point you just brought up. We often talk about what can and can't be done or said, but in talking about who stands for the flag and who doesn't stand for the flag because they want to stand up for criminal justice reform, but they actually celebrate people spraying the Cristal or whatever they're drinking all over each other in the locker room and sometimes on the fans too. That's a very salient point because Matt has been out there a long time advocating for people to stay safe. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry for every athletic and sporting event. You need athletic and event insurance. We go through Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports, whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer leagues. When you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. So Big C, I love the things that we talk about because I really want to make sure that we're not just a place where people tune in to find out who won a game. Last thing I want to cover on this before I get your thoughts on the United States, Canada, and Mexico being awarded the 2026 World Cup. Chris Cuomo is doing something that we've been doing for 3 years. No excuse for domestic violence against men or women. No excuse for it. Just when you want to make an excuse for it, imagine if somebody would do it to your daughter or your mother right in front of your face. Or you say, oh, that's just locker room talk, grabbing girls by the vagina. And good old boys stand behind him and say, well, he is what he is. Okay, let someone do that to your daughter in front of your face. And say, well, honey, he just being, that's what boys do. That's not what boys do. It's on headline news. It's chilling. Because we say every 20 seconds a woman in this country is battered, choked out, beaten up, slapped around, and then told if you come forward, we're going to sue you. There's another girl down at Texas A&M that has just built, I think, 102,000 seat football stadium, something like that, or maybe bigger. And she held it in a long time. Well, imagine that's your own daughter. We got to put an end to it. So Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon, congratulations. I think Cuomo's doing the host of that. I just think it's chilling for people to see what are the pitfalls and what to look out for. I want to get on your thoughts with the FIFA 2026 World Cup, the 3 countries, United States, Canada, and Mexico. It's ironic they all follow Big C Sports. We mentioned it in every opening. Google it. Big C. $14 billion is a big payday. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is the first time in World Cup history that 3 countries have gone in a joint venture. The reason why this would be so economical, Charlton, is that these 3 countries do not have to build any venues. Well, when you think of all the venues in Canada, they have the Canadian Football League up there, so they have all of those fields that host those games, Charlton.
Yes.
They've also had a couple Olympics in Canada, Charlton, Montreal, also one in Vancouver.
Yep.
So you know that they have facilities to house World Cup soccer, Charlton. You think about Mexico. They have hosted the World Cup before, Charlton. Azteca Stadium, one of the greatest soccer facilities in the world, and this country has had hosted many other soccer events, Charlton. when we talk about the United States and the size and the number of venues in the United States that can hold it, Canada and Mexico each will get 10 events, Charlton, that they will host.
Yes.
The United States will host 60. They will get all the finals and regional events, Charlton, of the 2026 World Cup. So when you talk about an economic boom for the United States and Canada and Mexico, fortunately enough, the current president and administration will not be in existence at that time.
Yep.
So there won't be any tariffs, and hopefully people will be able to come in and out of the country
Yep.
at that time from Mexico and Canada,
Yeah.
and our relationships will be strong again.
Yeah. I tell you what, it's always exciting, and I'm honored that we have following from all over the country, all over the universe, and primarily when we mention the USA, Canada, and them good old boys down south, we're talking about all the countries that have been awarded the FIFA World Cup 2026. Very proud of that. The U.S. Open being played at Shinnecock this weekend. It was 10 years ago that Tiger Woods won his last major. Now, Tiger's going to win a major again. It's just a matter of time. Just like anything else, when you roast those livestock down, when people say they have a roast and those livestock show up, they thought it was a roast, like making fun of people, like the president get roasted sometimes. They didn't know they were the roast. So when you roast those animals that volunteer for the roasting, Big C, it takes time. Talk about how Woods and his comeback with his back surgeries, it takes time, but he's looking like he's getting a little bit better every swing of the club. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, he has progressed each tournament that he's been in. We'll never see the Tiger Woods from a decade ago. But if we can see some semblance of that Tiger Woods, it'd be great. You know, we're going to see his compadres and Phil Mickelson playing in this tournament, Charlton,
Yes.
at Shinnecock.
Yes.
You know, you got Dustin Johnson, who was going to come in as the favorite, winning the last tournament, Charlton, one of the longest hitters on the tour.
Yeah.
You know, you got Ricky Fowler that's going to be there. You got Rory McIlroy. You got all the big names, Jordan Spieth. They're going to be in the hunt, Charlton. This is the final major of the year. So, I mean, when you look at the golfers in the hunt for this, it would always be nice to see Tiger. Tiger is theater drama. It's what he brings to this. He brings prestige to this tournament and any tournament, Charlton, that he's in.
Yeah.
Because the people who love golf in America now fell in love with Tiger 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
15 years ago. They were in love with Tiger. He was a family member. He was much-see TV. The networks reveled in Tiger, Charlton.
Yeah. I think
Because
yeah.
he gave us all hope that we could be this person on a tour that people who looked like him before were not welcome on, Charlton.
Yep.
So he opened up the doors to the cultures of America. Not just African Americans, not just Asians, but Middle Easterners, Charlton, South Americans. He opened it up to everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted to play golf. Tiger Woods was an economic boom for the sport and for the world, Charlton. If you look at the number of golf courses that opened up during Tiger Woods' heyday, and also look at the number of them that have closed since he has not been a champion, Charlton.
Yes.
It shows you the economic impact of this young man.
Well, I tell you what, it's amazing when you see the impact that African Americans have made in the sports world all over the universe. And that's why I say Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, because we're also going to bring intelligence back to sports. I don't want any athlete to be considered just a dumb jock, but especially young black boys. I hate seeing them maligned. And everybody knows it's true, where the coaches show up and say, well, we're going to give you an opportunity. That's great. But are they there if you don't play sports for their teams? What happened to the days of the programs that gave people the chance to work just because they wanted you to have the chance to work? Not because you worked playing football and basketball and baseball, making their teams bigger and stronger. Speaking of making teams bigger and stronger, Big C, I think what Tiger Woods is doing to every athlete that's ever had an injury is you realize that you can come back and you don't have to always be what you were when you left. But the fact that you can come back, that's important, and I think he's doing that very well, Big C. I want to think what the College World Series means to baseball. We know a lot of baseball players get the guaranteed contracts. They get the multi-million-dollar contracts, even if they bat 250. there are guys making $20 million a year. Guys that bat 280, 290, making $25 million a year, Big C. College World Series is kind of still pure, like Little League Baseball is pure. Give me your thoughts on the College World Series. I know all the sports are big down south, Big C, but everything takes second to football. But your thoughts on the College World Series?
Charlton, this is the only time that stakes take second place in Omaha.
Yeah.
When the College World Series show up.
Yeah.
I mean, the barbecues are still going. But, the College World Series in town, Charlton. And,
Yes.
and, you talk about some of the greatest major leaguers in today's game, Charlton, have played in Omaha in the College World Series.
Yes.
But every game means something. This is a chance of a lifetime. When you talk about that one shining moment in sports.
One shining moment. That one, the one Teddy Pendergrass thing? Yeah.
There's only going to be one team come out of this round-robin tournament, Charlton,
Yeah.
as the national championship.
Yep.
But just great baseball. You think about a number of these young men, Charlton, that are going to be playing in Omaha starting this weekend, that have been drafted by Major League Baseball clubs, Charlton.
Yeah.
That have signed contracts or are on the verge of signing contracts, become millionaires, that have their life in front of them, Charlton, taken care of financially.
Yeah.
But it's still secondary to the College World Series, Charlton.
Yeah.
To have an opportunity to win a championship with guys that you have grown up with. And that's what you do when you go to college. You grow up. You go there as a young boy, as a young girl, and you come out as a young woman or a young man. These are the most wonderful years of your life when you're in college.
Yeah.
And when you're part of a team, it doesn't make any difference whether you're a debate team, chess team, culinary team, cheerleading team, or a sports team.
Yes.
It is one of the greatest opportunities to enjoy others that enjoy what you do in life.
Yeah.
To build that bond, to have that forever friendship, and that one kindling moment that if you become a champion, you have a family of champions that you've grown up with that you will share for life, Charlton, as a collegiate.
That's a very good point. So everybody go out and support your local college baseball teams. They're all over the country, and they don't get paid as far as I know, but they really play for the love of the game. Canelo Triple G have agreed to a rematch September 15th down in Las Vegas, Big C. That's a fight. We got to have the fight world step up to the plate because MMA is taking over, but to have Canelo and then Triple G wanting to get back into the ring again, I think that's good for the sport of boxing. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, $40 to $50 million will make you do a whole lot of things. I might even give you a table dance for $40 or $50 million. And that's what they're talking about. The purse is Golden Boy Production is going to pull this off. Oscar De La Hoya, Charlton, is the main promoter for this fight. But when you put that type of money on the table, you find ways to get your differences to the side.
Yeah.
And it's great for boxing because it's one of those matchups, Charlton, that's become a rivalry.
Yes.
We don't have that in boxing anymore. You had Frazier Ali. You had Leonard Duran, Charlton.
Yeah.
You think about the great boxers over time. Mike Tyson had nobody that he had a rivalry with because it was always over.
Yeah.
But, to have this, and we saw a championship fight in Vegas last week. We're going to get a unification of the heavyweight title, Charlton, something we haven't had in decades. That's going to occur in England.
Oh, yeah.
But to having this fight occur in Las Vegas, Charlton, this title fight of these bitter rivalries are great for Las Vegas and the world of boxing.
Yeah, in fact, you talked about the fight that's going to happen over in England. The thing when they fight in Las Vegas, you get 15 to 20,000 people, usually at T-Mobile Center or MGM. But in England, I wonder if they'll fight this thing outside because
they'll most likely go to Wembley Stadium, Charlton,
and 80,000.
And you can get 60 to 80,000 in Wembley Stadium for this fight. It's a world title fight, and you got to figure one of the title holders is British.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a massive crowd.
I tell you what, they follow Big C Sports across the pond, and that's a fight that we all want to see. I'm really looking forward to it. Spain, the number 3 bidder in the World Cup this year, they fired their coach today for taking a job with Real Madrid. Why would they fire him? Well, your thoughts on that, Big C?
Well, Charlton, you get ownership saying, well, we want a guy that's loyal to our team. Now, you got to understand, one time in history, this worked before.
Yeah.
You go back to the University of Michigan, okay, when Bill Frieda took the coach job at Arizona State. They hired Fisher. I believe it was 1989.
Yep.
They promoted him into the head coaching job. Bo Schembechler was the athletic director at Michigan. He said, I don't want an Arizona State guy coaching a Michigan team.
Yeah.
Michigan went on a 6-game run and won the national championship, Charlton, in 1989, led by Glenn Rice.
Yeah.
So maybe Spain is looking at that same type of mojo, Charlton, getting rid of a coach that will be coaching somewhere else next year, and bringing in their own guy. And instead of being the third favorite team in the betting for the World Cup, maybe they move to number 1 now.
Well, I tell you what, we follow sports all over the universe, all over the world. I love everything that's happening in the world of sports. And I love the fact that we have World Cup, we have football kicking off there. Everybody's getting ready to say who's going to report to the OTAs. And we know sometimes players know they're going to get fined a lot of money. You know, Mac out here in the Raiders, John Gruden was saying that he's a no-show. But they can start finding guys like $14,000 a day, then the next day it might be $28,000. They might have to call Justify to get a loan. Big C, that horse. They might have to get a loan from Justify to pay down some of these fines. But I want to finish because we started talking about criminal justice system. Why is Trump actually dealing with Korea, North and South Korea? We have people sleeping under overpasses in the United States of America, and we say unemployment's at 3%. Okay, tell the people under the overpass. Franklin Graham, an evangelical leader of the late Billy Graham, has some comments to make about our country. We're asking people to pray. I know Farrakhan did this about 2 decades ago, and people tried to say, well, what's he asking black men to pray? We're asking all the world to pray. If we can stand for the flag of any country, we can also stand for Christ. Not trying to proselytize anybody, but at least that's an example that we can live by. Nobody's perfect, but I think that's at least noble with all the things going on in our society. Your thoughts on how the great Billy Graham, the late Billy Graham, and Martin Luther King worked together to proselytize and bring people to the church, and not necessarily church, but to have faith in God, Big C. Give me your thoughts on Graham and his thoughts on our country, Big C, your thoughts.
Well, you think about Franklin Graham, Charlton. He's the son of the late Billy Graham. And he said that our country is a national disgrace, our leadership in this country, because of what they're doing. And you talked about domestic violence. Our national government is committing domestic violence every day on the asylum seekers that are coming into this country, Charlton.
Yep.
You're taking these women, you're locking them up, and you're taking their children from them and shipping them elsewhere in the country. You want to talk about domestic violence, Charlton? Human rights violations? Not even. It doesn't make any difference where they're from. That is a human rights violation. To take a child from a mother. Now, everybody who listens to our program anywhere in the world, whether you're a parent or you know somebody that's a parent, think about what it would be like if you took your child in for a checkup and that child never came back out and they took you and locked you up for not committing a crime, just seeking a better life.
Wow.
That's all you're seeking is a better life. These women are running away from atrocities that are going on in the countries that they have left. They're bringing their children here, hoping that they have an opportunity to survive because they may not have had a chance to survive in their mother country.
Yes.
But if you bring somebody in, I think, and I don't know if the president can read. I heard he lived in New York. I don't know if he ever went over to the Statue of Liberty. When they said, bring us, you're tired, you're hungry, and you're poor, and you're oppressed. That's on the base of the Statue of Liberty. One of the most profound statements in the world.
Yeah.
And we have a United States government right now that might as well go in there and take a blowtorch and cut that out, because that's no longer what America stands for. This is a country that was built on immigration. His grandparents were immigrants into this country from Trump. I mean, not Trump, from Germany.
Yes.
So when you think about that and you understand his stance, the neo-Nazi mentality that he grew up with, that is what he is entrenching into our government's thoughts right now.
And if you don't think
that what allowed his forebears to come to this country, he does not want other people to come here.
And you can Google Trump's father's involvement with Adolf Hitler for you guys that don't like to read. You just can't wait to see who won the game, who won the score. I hope that Big C Sports can be the leader in the sports universe. to ask people to actually pray. It's okay to pray. If we say it's okay to take kids and take them out of the country, ripping them apart from their families over politics, but on every dollar we spend, it says, in God we trust. So I want to take on that too. Nobody's perfect. I just want to ask people to pray. Let's bring our clergy together with our sports leaders and politicians, and maybe through praying for what's right, like Dr. King did, we can form a more perfect union. Big C. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble, Big C. What are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, when you think about the Detroit Tigers, they lost Matt Scherzer, who was one of the aces for the Washington Nationals. They lost Justin Verlander, who was an ace for the Houston Astros, winning their World Series last year. Last night they lost Miguel Cabrera, the last Triple Crown winner in the American League, Charlton. He tore a bicep. So what is there next for the Detroit Tigers organization and Cabrera's future? He has $160 million sitting on the table in his current contract.
That's a lot of money, Big C. I want $160 million. In fact, I want it tonight. And speaking of tonight, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m., follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.